Good morning. It's Mona and it's my morning view. Today, I'm trying to get my hand in a comfortable position and it is not happening. Okay. Fall edition 2025. And it is Fiesty Friday. Fiesty Friday is the day that I offend. Sometimes I even offend myself. Sometimes I complain. That's really offensive. I'm covered in dog hair too. Covered in dog hair. And have my hand in a weird position trying to hold up the phone without causing it to fall about 7 feet to the ground. All right, so this is the deal. Feisty Friday. I'm going to talk about something that, now I do not get political. I do get biblical. So if you have a problem with it, refer to the Bible. When it comes down to it. So here's my time to offend. Not getting political. We are talking about the different roles of an individual compared to a government. Individuals compared to a government, biblically. Okay, so as parents, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. And even those, the roles change a bit. Okay? So as a parent of underage children, and even after they grow up to an extent, because you're still going to love them completely and utterly as if they were your littles. As a parent, you have an obligation to your children that you do not have to your neighbor's children, to the rest of the kids in the school, to the rest of the kids in your community, your town, your state, your country, your world. You have an obligation to your children. That doesn't mean that we don't care for others, but it's a different type of love that we have towards our children that compels us to do what is right for our children that is different than that of the rest of the children of the world. Okay? So there are some children that come to your home and they are like children to you. I have at least one. But I really didn't get a say on how she was raised. I didn't get a say. There were obligations to my own children that I had that I did not have to her because she was not my own child. And I almost said flesh and blood. But see, flesh and blood is not what constitute your children. See, because I know a lot of people that adopt children. And those children are their children. Because once an adoption is made, they are yours. Not yours in the sense of ownership, but as in responsibility. And the emotional attachment to your adopted children should grow to where there is no differentiation, boy, that was a big word, between your child and your adopted child. They are both your children. Done. Okay? When you are fostering a child, that child is in your care, and you are to treat them as your own child. Depending on what legal aspects are in a contract of foster care. I don't know about foster care, about certain things of, the criteria of how you may have to treat them a little differently. Legally. Okay. So, but for the most part, you care for them as if you would your own child. Now, moving on. That's our responsibility as a parent. Okay? Responsibility as a parent. Now, the roles of the father and the roles of the mother in each family dynamic may be different, but there are still differentiational roles. So you have, in the traditional family, the father goes out and is the breadwinner, and the mom takes care of the home. Modern day, usually both parents are out of the home, so they're both like trying to do the home life as equals. You do a little bit and I do a little bit, and we'll get this done. We'll get it all done. We manage the way we can manage. And then you have a more progressive where a lot of times in this day and age the wife is actually the one working. They're the ones that are bringing in the income, because the husband's income is not as high as the wife's, and some it's not often, because for the most part women still do not get paid more than a man. So that's still a thing, but they are being paid better. And there are some times when the wife lands a better job than the spouse. And so because of that, sometimes the woman is now the breadwinner. And so the husband picks up on the stuff at home. That's more of a progressive look at it. But these are all scenarios in life today. And so you still have a role and a responsibility as a parent. And whatever your role is in this day and age in the family dynamic. Now, we don't care for the world as much, but that doesn't mean we don't care for the world. We do care for the world. We do care for other children. We do want to make sure that they're safe and they're eating and they're, whatever. But your responsibility as a parent is to your children. Next, as individuals, we are not to bear the sword. Those that live by the sword die by the sword. So as individuals, we do not bear a sword. Quite different in a governmental situation. We'll get to the governmental situation in a moment. Right now we're talking as individuals, individual parents, loving your children more than you do the children of the world. Don't bear the sword, because you'll die by the sword. The third thing is, what is it that the Lord has asked you to lead? So for a parent, it might be, if they're staying at home, they're leading their children. They may volunteer in the community for things. And maybe that volunteership is toward a specific duty in the community. So you have, say you're on the school board, not the school board, that's governmental. Say you're on the PTA, right? And whatever the PTA does for the kids in the entire school, beyond your children, right? If you are a manager at a business, you're middle management or something, and you have a responsibility to those that are over you, but you also have a responsibility to those that are subordinate to you. God has given you the position that you are at in order to do the best that you are supposed to do in that role. So you have, if you are in a low position of your job, you have authority over what you're doing in your job. Oh yeah, you have rules that you have to follow within those guidelines, but you own it. You bring it. You bring your best. When you're getting paid to do a job, you do the job to the best of your ability. You don't, I'm just going to suck them dry and not do anything. Or I'll do the very minimum because, the very minimum will get me my paycheck without getting fired. But, I really don't care about the job. That's not taking responsibility for your being. That is not taking individual responsibility of what God has placed before you. Okay, so individualistically, we have covered parenting. We love our children in a way very different than we look at other people's children. We're to care for our children, make sure of their safety, their well-being. We raise them up in the way that they should go and not the way you should go. Do not be living through your child because they will be miserable. They will do it because they love you and they want you to be proud of them. But on the inside, not healthy for you to be living through your child, through sports or academics or music or whatever it is that you didn't get to be successful. And so therefore you're going to raise your child the way you wanted them to go. It's not the way you want them to go. It's the way that they should go. All right. Now, don't pick up the sword. That means any weapon. This is a sword. The way you speak is a sword. You speak negative about other people, when you speak negative about yourself, that is a weapon. And that weapon is not godly. It can be used as a godly weapon. People get all upset about gun control. Well, it's the hands of the people that the guns are in that maybe they shouldn't be in. But the gun itself is not the problem. It is the weapon of how it's being used. How it's being used. There was many times a weapon saved people's lives. Okay, so we're not going to get into that, but I just want you to know the difference between a weapon that is used in defense, a weapon that is used to protect, and a weapon that is used to destroy. Okay? Then, doing as unto the Lord what he has placed before you. What opportunities he's placed before you, what authority he has placed before you, what position he has placed before you. These things are individual that you do as unto the Lord. But you don't do them for everybody. You do them for your job. You do them for your, that's, you're working in that management position or that down at the bottom position or up at the top position. Whatever position you have, that's the position you are placed in, which is the responsibility that you are to carry out. For example, a church. It could go to the pastor, but it could also go to the congregation in a whole. So as a pastor, he has to use his ability to take care of his flock. He may be concerned about his community, and he wants his flock to be concerned about his community, but he himself, he is responsible for his flock, his parishioners, his... excuse me? You want to speak? You want to tell them? Okay. She wants... She's the star of the show. Every now and then she wants her space. So he will encourage his parishioners to be there for the community. But he himself, he has a responsibility to his parishioners first. So if his church family, if his flock, if there's somebody in that doesn't have any food, they don't have the money to pay for their electric bill, they don't have the means to take care of themselves, For example, me breaking my leg this week. The members of my church stepped up, made a food train, because meal train, whatever it's called, a meal train, and they were providing us food. And I'm glad that I told them not Tuesdays and Thursdays, because we usually get pizza on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I don't have to cook anyway. So I don't have to cook anyway. It's okay, they're not on our property. Yeah, that happens. This is the real, by the way, R-E-A-L, not the R-E-E-L. So yeah, they started bringing food, and there was so much food that we used the leftovers for Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of getting pizza on Tuesday and eating leftover pizza on Thursday. So it worked out. So they were taking care of the flock. So when there's somebody in the church that needs help, then, well, the pastor wants his church to be taken care of. And so he's training us to help each other, but he's also helping us train the community. But our first responsibility is our family. And so that is our church family. So he is not concerned. Yes, there's a concern, but it's like parenting. It's not the same concern for the community and the world as he does for his parishioners, because he is the pastor and he has a responsibility to his parishioners. And yes, you can be community minded as long as you realize that your community in the church, your family in the church, comes first. All right. So then, hello? Excuse me. All right. So, anyways, let's move on to governmental. So that was a biblical individual responsibilities. Governmental responsibilities. When you're talking governmental, it could be kingdom, right? It could be, because that's really what kingdom is it's governmental. It's just his kingdom versus the world's kingdom. His kingdom versus the system of this world. And so when he talks to the kingdoms of the world in the Bible, he talks about secure borders. Secure borders. You secure your borders. He talks about yielding the sword. You have to protect your citizens. Remember, the father protects his family, the pastor protects his church. As government, you protect your citizens first. Citizens. I remember in college, like a bazillion years ago, one of my professors talking about, can Christians, now this was not a Christian college, it was not a theological class, it was a history class, but they got into historical things concerning biblical events. And so they were talking about, can a soldier be a Christian? Because there was a thought that Christians, excuse me, I'll give you your time. She knows I'm lying. So it was a thought that Christians couldn't be, soldiers couldn't be Christians and Christians couldn't be soldiers because they live by the sword. And when we're talking protecting our nation, when we're talking about being there for our citizens, hello, now she's got to bark at the doggy walking down the road. Every day, 3 or 4 times a day, you know it. Yeah, yep, not on our property. Hey, She's a character. She's just protecting. She's protecting the borders. And you know what she's doing? She's protecting the borders before they cross the borders. So she's not letting them cross the borders. She's letting them know, you are not crossing these borders. That's what she's doing. She's doing her responsibility. So I can't get angry with her because she's doing her job, right? Okay, so which brings us to what was the third one? Taking care of other nations. Like the pastor takes care of his church, right? Like the father takes care of his children. Yes, we have a responsibility to the rest of the world, but not at the expense of our own. The government has a responsibility to take care of its own before it takes care of the world. We do have a responsibility to the community. We do have a responsibility to our neighborhood and to our neighbor's kid. We do have a responsibility to to all the children of the world. You can't take care of all the children of the world. But you can do some, right? You can do some. And so when we are lacking in our responsibilities to our nation, we have no business giving thousands and thousands and thousands and trillions and billions and whatever the amount is to other nations that isn't even for their health and welfare. Now, notice what I'm saying, health and welfare. Okay? Our obligation to the citizens of other countries are for their health and welfare, not for anything else. And it's not putting our own needs aside to do that. You take care of your own. From the abundance of overflow, you can take care of the needs of health and welfare for others. Granted, like King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba a whole lot of, dowry type of stuff, right? He gave her riches more than she had brought. So there is an exchange of gifts that is involved when you're collaborating with another country. Native Americans used to do this. They would give a gift from their tribe to another tribe as a symbol of somewhat of covenant, of saying that, hey, but it's not as deep as a covenant, but it's a sign that you're our friend, we welcome you, right? So there's gifting that takes place in that realm. But you also got to remember that Solomon, not only was he the richest king, but his citizens were wealthy. The Queen of Sheba came up there and was like, my goodness, even the servants wear fine clothes. Even the garbage out on the street consists of silver, because there's so much silver that it's like it has no value, because there's just a lot of it here. So he had the means through wisdom, through God's wisdom. So through God's wisdom, which he asked for to reign over a country, he's like, God, I don't know how to reign over a country. Give me wisdom. Give me wisdom for your people, for your citizens, for the people of this nation, not all the other nations. But guess what got to happen? In that wisdom, they acquired wealth. They acquired peace. There was no battles in the days of Solomon. So therefore, it benefited the countries around them as well. There was trades. There was mercantile, merchandise, whatever you want to call it. there was things there that helped the nations around them as well. So on this Fiesty Friday, knowing the difference of individual versus government. So individual, we raise our own children. We take care of our own children. We love our own children. Different. I'm not saying you don't love them. Different than your neighbor's kid, your community's kid, the world's kids. Those that live by the sword die by the sword. This sword including. So when you yield this sword as a weapon, when you yield it as a weapon, it's going to come back at you. Boomerang effect. We take responsibility over that which the Lord has set before us as our responsibility. Example, our job, a pastor over a church. Government, you secure the borders. That's what I forgot. I forgot something, securing the borders. As individuals, we are to care for the sojourner. As individuals, when you have an individual coming into this country and they're in need, we are, as individuals, not governmental, as individuals, to help them. Not before our own children. Remember, that responsibility is there. But we are to be kind, gentle, loving towards the sojourner, towards the immigrant. There are times in this nation that the immigrants were treated so horrifically, and yet we have forgotten this. That some of our own immigrants, well, not mine, because mine came over long before that, but my husband's, some of his ancestors are Italian, his ancestors are Germans. Now, depending on when the Germans came over, depending on whether they were treated differently, I don't know. But definitely people that were of Japanese descent, during World War II. Those that were Native American were sometimes treated like those that were Japanese because they pseudo kind of look like them. I don't think so, but when you're prejudiced, and you're blind to what's really in front of you. So the Irish and the Italian were treated really horrible when they came over. Right? So is anything different going on today than then? Well, today they're given a whole lot of free stuff by the government. It is not the government's job to give them a whole bunch of free stuff. Especially when they came in illegally. Especially when they come across without the proper documents. Without the proper paperwork in order. Granted, there are some times when you just flee and you all you want is safety. You're looking at Maslow's triangle, right? You want safety. And so there's a lot that have come in with safety, but there's a lot that have not come into safety and through safety, and they have been malice towards the United States of America. And their plan is to destroy it from within. Not all of them, but many. Now, we as individuals are to take care of the sojourner. We're to be kind to them. We're to help them out. We're to help those that are passing through, just passing through. We're on vacation. Be kind to them. If they're coming in to seek asylum, to seek citizenship, then as individuals, we are to accept them and help them in any way that we can, but not at the expense of those responsibilities that are set before us, right? The government is to protect our borders. The government is to protect its citizens. Like I said, I'm not getting political. I'm getting biblical. Protect our citizens as a government. As a parent, we protect our children. And that doesn't exclude anybody. It's just we take care of what our responsibilities are. And if you're not going to take care of your responsibilities, you have no right to step outside to try to take care of the world. All right. That is my Feisty Friday. Was I feisty enough for you? I hope so. All right. If it stirred up any angst in you, that's the time that you need to seek yourself. Whenever I get somebody stirs up angst in me, it's like, okay, what is it that's causing this angst? What is it about me that I'm not liking about this situation? And a lot of times I have to change myself. A lot of times it's me. Sometimes it's them. Sometimes they're just trying to stir up stuff. You know, the pot stirrers. But they know your triggers. So if I'm stirring up anything, try to figure out what it is that I'm trying to stir up inside that's going to get this to thinking, to get connected to this. This and this needs to connect to that. Okay. That's all I got for you today. Thank you, Jake, for watching. Thank you, Cindy, for watching. And I will see you on Monday. So blessings. Before I forget, go ahead and go to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, different than my Facebook profile, and subscribe in Facebook. In YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, both on Facebook and on YouTube. Like, share, comment, hit the notifications, get all the bells and whistles, and that helps the algorithm, because that way it gets opened up to more people. And I could care less whether people, like, other than for the algorithm, because there are a lot of people that are ghost watchers. I know they're ghost watchers. They talk to me in person, but they will not comment or like or share because they don't want to be seen on the internet. But they have watched me and have encouraged me to continue with these. So that's what I do. I keep doing these, and so if you want to be a ghost watcher, that's fine. I'm okay with it. But if you think the content is valuable, throw in a like, throw in a share, throw in a comment, something that would open up the algorithm a little more than what it is. All right, and don't forget to go to Mona E. Harrison. Blessings, everybody. I will see you Monday. All right, bye.